how do you maintain the prayer? And for some people, it's one thing that you're not healthy to begin with, right? And then somebody says, maintain your health. No, well, if I'm not healthy to begin with, I need to fix certain things and go through certain therapy and medical treatment or some kind of process before I can actually get healthy. Then once I get healthy, I have to maintain it, right? So you can't just say, maintain your health. Well, I'm not healthy to begin with. I gotta get to a healthy place. So the harder question when the father says to the son, maintain your prayer, is the son has to ask himself, the daughter has to ask herself, is my prayer actually the way it's supposed to be to begin with, that I should maintain it? Because maintain would mean keep doing what you're doing. But if you're doing the wrong thing and you say maintain the prayer, okay, I'll keep maintaining it. You're not making anything better. You're not making anything better. So first, what needs to be identified is the prayer the way is it supposed to be or not? The word salah actually comes from sila in Arabic, which is what we call the prayer, right? But there's another word for prayer too, dua. Dua is also a word for prayer, okay? And actually, ibadah can also be considered prayer. But Allah specifically uses the term salah. And salah comes from sila, and sila or wasl actually mean connection. Connection. The prayer isn't just words you say, isn't just movements that you make, it's not just specific direction that you follow, it's not step-by-step process. All of that stuff you learned. Either you learned it from your parents, or your parents hired somebody to teach you, or you went to a Sunday school or an Islamic school. You learned that stuff. Fine. That's the form of the prayer. But the purpose of all of that was one thing, to establish and to preserve the connection to Allah in the prayer. So let me just remind myself and you what the prayer is. The moment I say Allahu Akbar, can I talk to anybody? No. Am I supposed to be looking around? No. Is everything in the world, whether your phone goes off, or somebody's calling you, right? Or you're late for a meeting, or, anything going on outside, other than life-threatening emergency. None of that exists when you are what? Praying. Everything came to an end. Everything halted. For those few minutes that you were praying, the rest of your life did not exist. No other priority existed. In fact, you weren't even in charge of your own body at that point. You can't just walk the way you want to walk. You can't just put your feet where you want to put your feet. You can't just put your hands where you want to put your hands. You can't move your mouth the way you want to move your mouth. You can't move your eyes the way you want to move your eyes. Isn't it? Everything is completely surrendered over to Allah since you say Allahu Akbar until the time you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yes or no? You know what that is? That's a rehearsal. And one way you can think about the prayer is it's a rehearsal. Rehearsal of what? A day is coming when we will not be in control of our bodies. Allah will truly show us how much greater He is than us. We're not going to be able to speak what we want to speak. We'll only speak what Allah wants us to say. We're not going to be able to move the way we want to move. Allah will have control over our limbs, and the remote control that's living inside this cranium right now is going to be disabled. And our body will function in a way that we never imagined before. It's doing things that we didn't want it to do. It's testifying, it's speaking the way we never wanted it to speak. The prayer is a reminder of how we're going to all end up surrendering ourselves in front of Allah on Judgment Day. Now think about that. On Judgment Day, it didn't matter what clothes you used to own. It didn't matter what car you had. It didn't matter where you lived. It didn't matter how much money you had. All the arguments you had, all the people you liked, all the people you hated, all of that disappeared. It's just you and Allah. That's it. It's just you and Allah. And you're just standing in front of Allah, isn't it? By the way, it's called Yawmul Qiyamah, the day of long standing. And what is the longest part of our prayer? Qiyam. Qiyam. There's a reason for that. We start the prayer by reminding ourselves, because when somebody's standing in prayer, they're standing in front of Allah, right? They have to connect themselves to Judgment Day. And they have to connect themselves to Allah as if I am in front of Allah and Judgment Day has already started for me. It's a recap. It's a small preview of what's going to happen on Judgment Day. And on Judgment Day, because I won't have control over my tongue, I want to be able to say the right things. And the best things I can say are the truth. And Allah tells us His words Himself to say when we stand in front of Allah. That is not something you can just automatically get if you say Allahu Akbar, Subhanakallah wa bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka, and you quickly run through that, and then Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmid Din. If you do that, you can finish the prayer. And in terms of fiqh, you prayed, but you actually didn't. I didn't connect to Allah that way at all. I didn't connect with Allah. I didn't remind myself what this prayer is for. Maintain your connection to Allah through the prayer. Is aqim as-salah.